So the ego is, in my, how I'm going to define it, is that part of your mind that deals with how other people perceive you. Right? If that is a good definition. So, and here's the thing that's interesting about the ego. So, anybody have nieces and nephews? Little nieces and nephews. Have you ever taken your niece or nephew aged around 4, 5, 6 to a playground? Right, yeah? First of all, whoever invented the fucking playground, amazing. You just take them there and you sit down, you don't have to do anything. You can just text or be on your phone or whatever. And what do?
Zero problem talking to each other.
Yeah, they just run off and go play on the thing, and it's great. You don't have to do anything. You have to teach them shit. They just do it. And like you mentioned, right? Have you ever taken your niece and nephew to a playground and you sit down and you're like, whatever, doing your texting and you're keeping an eye on them, and they come back and they say, oh, Uncle whatever, Uncle Ryan, there's this kid on the swing and I think they're really cool, but I want to speak to them, but I've got approach anxiety. No? Yeah, didn't think so. Because kids, when they're 4, 5, and 6, don't have an ego yet. That side of their brain is not there. So they have, there's a core of who you really are. And when you're young, you behave pretty much according to what you're feeling, what you're thinking in that moment. Right? Kids are very, very present and very, very focused on basically what is the most enjoyable thing that I could do right now. That's it. They're not thinking about the consequences of, oh, what if I do this and then this happens? Right? They don't think that far. And in some cases, that can be a bad thing, right? Right? You should have a little bit of idea of like, oh, if I jump off this fucking bridge, I might die. But we become obsessed with it because what happens is, over time, so as we get older, we are put in school and we're constantly berated by our parents and our teachers. You have to think about the consequences of this and don't speak to strangers, especially if they're offering you sweets, because what they're thinking is something bad and they might do this. And don't trust this person, and don't trust people from that side of the street because they're poor and they're probably immigrants. And if your mum reads the Telegraph and Daily Mail, and all this stuff. And over time, your mind, this thing comes along, this inchoate version of your ego, and it says, hey, you know, there's a lot of talk going about what other people are thinking and about the consequences of what you're going to do. And I want to help you out. I want to help you out, mate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you this awesome service. It's going to be in your brain, and it's going to run all the time. And it's going to do 2 great things. Number 1 is any time that you're about to do something, any time that you have who you really are and what you really think and what you're feeling in that moment, before you do or say anything, it's going to filter and check to make sure that doing or saying that thing is okay before you do it. And it's only going to let out things that are approved of and things that are going to get you approval from others. Brilliant, right? And I'm going to throw in for free another thing, which is going to filter all the stuff coming in, right? So all the beautiful majesty of the natural world around you, the beautiful sunshine, the dew on the petals, the clouds running through the sky, it's going to filter all that shit out, and it's going to focus on what's important, which is what other people are saying and thinking, what that person's saying about you, what that person's thinking, what that person might be doing. It's going to filter all that stuff so that you only get the stuff that's important, right? Because what's important is what people think about you and whether they approve of you. And that is what the ego is. And over time, that thing gets bigger and bigger. Like when you install that virus program initially, right? And it just keeps taking up more and more fucking RAM until it's fucking destroyed your computer and it's running really slowly and you can't do anything with it. Our egos become so big that it's all consuming. And most of the focus of what we say and do, right, has stopped ever being about what we actually want to do and who we are and what we think and what we believe and in that moment what we feel like, and is almost entirely based on what other people are going to think and what other people are going to do. We stop even bothering to care about what we want because what other people think has become so important. Does that resonate with anybody? Yeah. And that sucks. Right? That surely is not how life should be. And what's crazy about it is this. We create this facade around ourselves, right? This version of who we believe we should be, of what we've been told or what we think people want us to be and how we should behave. And it cuts off from the world who we really are. So when somebody else comes along, when there's somebody new and you want to connect with them, they're interacting not with you, but with your facade, with this version of yourself that you present to the world. And what's crazy about that is that makes it very, very difficult to connect with people in an authentic way. Because when you're behaving around them, when you're talking to them, you're being this version of you. And sometimes, very rarely, someone will bother to stick around long enough to peer back and see, oh, this is who this person really is. Right? So we buy more and more routine manuals that tell us, oh yeah, you need to be alpha. Right? Women are attracted to a guy who's alpha and has these characteristics and is cool and knows the manager and high fives people. Right? And this is this person you have to be. So at every step of the way, it's like, okay, so how do I start the conversation? Oh, well, you need to buy the material that tells you how to begin the conversation in the way that a guy who's alpha begins conversations. You need to get that. You need to get that piece. Right? I was like, okay, so I've started doing that. And then she says this to me, so what do I say next? I was like, you need the mid-game manual for how a guy who's alpha does mid-game. Yeah? And then so, okay, I've done that, and how do I, well then you need the escalation techniques for guys who are, how an alpha guy would escalate. And then you need the closing, getting her back to your place and closing techniques, and you need to get over the LMR, the LMR handling stuff, right? For guys who are alpha, this is how they do it. Yeah, guys who are alpha, right? When a girl doesn't want to fuck them, what they do is they get up, turn the lights on, and go over to their computer. Yeah, that's what they fucking do. And then it's like, oh, what do I do? And then, okay, so now I fucked her, right? And now you need the relationship handling manual. This is how alpha guys handle their relationships, right? You might never compliment her and call her a bitch all the time. And that's what you need to do to choke her a little bit. And that's what you need to do to be a fucking alpha in a relationship manual. Those are the things you need to be. you build up all these things to be somebody else. And for every time that you do this, what you're saying subconsciously, even though you may not say it consciously, is, who I really am is not enough. I can't just be this. I have to do all these things to be this person because I've been told that this is what attracts women. And so a woman comes along and you interact with her with the techniques and with the stuff that you've been told to say to be alpha. And she's like, oh, cool, great. And she hangs out and you do all the stuff and you do the techniques, right? And you eventually have sex with her. Ah, wicked, great, well done. And then you go, okay, cool, well, I slept with her, I got the girl, I closed, got an F closed, gonna write that lay report. And, right, done, great, game over. Now, I can just, I can drop the routines, right? I can just be myself now, right? Just be myself. And in that moment, you drop all this stuff, and she sees who you really are, and goes, what the fuck is that? I like the guy with the routines and the magic tricks, and that was awesome. Who the fuck is this guy? No, and she runs away. And you tell yourself, oh shit, I definitely got to get more of this stuff, because as soon as I reveal who I really am to women, they run for the fucking hills. God, this person is really fucking unattractive. This is the problem, is what you tell yourself. No, it fucking isn't. This shit is the fucking problem. And anybody telling you otherwise is just trying to sell you one of these fucking things. The problem is the ego. The problem is that side of you telling you you have to present this version of yourself to other people. Because think about it. Why do it? The only reason we're doing any of this stuff is what? Why are we bothering to build this facade and get all these techniques? Why are we doing it?
A sense of control.
Control over what?
Control over the work, the environments.
And why do we want that? Why do we want that control?
To feel whole.
Survive.
Validation.
Because you want to bang women. Yes, that's why
Oh yeah, you want.
Well, this is the question, so.
Why do you want it? You always feel like something's missing, so you always want to feel whole, so you're always chasing that thing that you believe will make you feel whole.
I'm going to go back to it. So we want control over when we go into this interaction with a woman, we want to at least feel like we're in control over it. Why? Why would you need to be in control of something? Why is that important?
Because you're afraid you're going to lose it.
Right? Fear. Right? If you're not afraid, it's like, if you're at home on your computer, like reading, do you need to be in control of that situation?
No.
Not really, because there's nothing to be, nothing bad would happen, right? If you're flying a jet airliner for the first time, do you need to be in control of that situation? Yeah, why? Because you could die.
Yeah.
So we feel like we need control because we're afraid. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of this person, this new person, rejecting us. So we build up all these things. Does that prevent rejection?
No.
No. So the one thing that's the reason that we're doing all of this for doesn't even do anything. This doesn't prevent rejection. At most, it delays it until we've had sex with her, and then we start being ourselves, at which point she fucks off. And even when you do this, right, even if you dedicated your life, if you dedicated your entire life from this moment until you die to go round the world and convince every single person that you're a great guy, right? And you studied every single bit of psychology about how to speak to people and how to behave and how to make people like you as much as possible, right? There would still be at least one person somewhere in the world where you're like, oh, I have to go convince that person I'm a great guy today. And you walk over to shake their hand and they take one look at you and go, fuck off, mate, you're a cunt. For no reason. That'll still happen anyway, won't it? So that makes all of this completely pointless. There's a percentage of people in the world that think that you're a cunt, right? There are a percentage of people who just looking at you and they're racist, right? And they don't like people who look Indian or black or whatever, and they're just going to hate you just by looking at you. That's gonna happen. Okay? Plenty of people are going to look at me, be like, ginger cunt, fuck off. It's going to happen. The question is, do you want to spend your life going around convincing those people, no, I'm a great guy? Or do you just want to accept it? Just accept that that's going to happen. Because isn't it easier? If you just accept it, then you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to do one thing of all that stuff I said. What you do is, there's different people. I'm running out of colors now. Right? And you are yourself. And what you do is, you go around behaving and acting and speaking completely congruent with who you really are. No facade, no ego, no techniques, no routines. You say what's on your mind. You behave according to what you think would be enjoyable for you. And as soon as somebody meets you, whether they're a longtime friend or whether you've just met them, you are exactly the same person at all times. When you do that, do you ever have to think of, what do I say? What do you say? In any situation, regardless of the situation, what do you say?
What's on your mind?
What you think. And some people are going to hear that, and they're going to not like it. Going to happen anyway. So you go, this is my expression of what I believe, and they go, I think that's horrible. And you go, cool. So how about you? And you talk to somebody else. And some people, you're going to express who you really are and what you think, and they're going to go, that's fucking awesome. Let's chat about it more. How easy is a connection like that? What technique do I have to do to form that friendship? Nothing. I just have to be who I am. So, Joe Brand, comedian, yeah? Who knows Joe Brand? The woman. Yeah, that's why I used the word comedienne. I wasn't just being pretentious and speaking French for no reason. So, a lot of comedians do this. You'll know, you do study comedy, don't you? So, when you stand up at the beginning of comedy, in your set, usually, and you'll find this if you watch some of your favorite comedians, especially their early stuff, what you need to do is you need to assess the fact that as soon as you stand up in a room full of people you don't know, they're already judging you. And there's certain things that people look at you and they're immediately thinking. So a bad idea, right, is to pretend that that's not happening and just cover that over and just go on with your act as if you're not fat. Because if you do that, especially if your set isn't going that well, someone's going to be like, you're a fat cunt. And everyone's going to laugh. And then you have that shit to deal with, and you have to come up with some witty response. But what Jo Brand does, one of her early openers, I don't know if she still does it, she's a big, if you don't know her, she's a very, very large woman. So she comes up on stage, before she said anything, she doesn't even say hello, she has the microphone stand here, and she just goes, I'm just going to move this over here so you guys can see me. Like that. And then she gets a little laugh, a little more laugh than that, but she gets a little laugh with it, and what she's done is she's acknowledged, I know what you guys are thinking about me. I know that you're looking at me and being like, oh, she's quite big. Right? And I'm okay with that. I've accepted it. And once she brings it up and makes light of it, what happens if later in her set, after she's done that, someone goes, oh, you're fat? It has no, she's like, yeah, we went over that like 20 minutes ago. You're an idiot. Right? It has no effect because she's already brought it up. Most people, when they're acting defensive, it's the ego talking, isn't it? Oh, no, I'm not. You are. Right? Your life is made a fuck of a lot easier if you just accept it, make light of it, and move on. Because once you do that, who can insult you? Who can ruin your day? Who can make you feel inferior or unhappy if you've already woken up and been like, you know what, this is who I am, and I accept that. It's like, remember the film 8 Mile? Yeah? Featuring Eminem, one of the greatest white rappers of the late 90s, early 2000s. So, right at the end of that film, if you guys remember, he has this big scene, and he's lost some rap battle before, whatever, and he goes up, and the crew of the guy that he's rap battling against has like fucked him up and beat him up and all this stuff, and he's from the wrong side of town or whatever and stuff like that. And what he does is, in his rap, he admits everything about what's happened. He admits who he is. He brings up all of his flaws. And he says, yeah, you fucked me up and you did this, and I'm this, and here's all of my failings, and here's why I'm a fuck up. Yeah? And he raps about all of that and gets, everybody goes crazy. And then he hands the mic over to the guy, and when he does that, the guy has nothing. He has nothing to insult him about, because he's already admitted it. He's already accepted it. Now, does that mean we have to go around and introduce ourselves and say, here's all my failings? No. But if we admit to ourselves, if we accept ourselves for who we really are first, and then simply act according to that, we don't need to learn any more techniques. We don't need to learn all this stuff about how to pretend to be somebody else. And the connections that you make with people when you are being you are so much easier and so much more authentic than the ones you make by pretending to be somebody that you're not. Self-acceptance. Any questions on that slide before I move on? Yes, sir. That was very quick.
The person you talk to also has an ego.
That's right.
Socially concerned.
That's right.
So removing your filter still will leave the filter of the other person in place.
That's absolutely right.
He or
But
she
whose job is that to get rid of and break down? Is that your fault? Is that your concern? Is that something that's under your control? No. So don't worry about it. This idea of control is fundamentally an illusion. You can't really control what somebody's perception of you is going to be. You can put on a nice suit or whatever, but fundamentally people are going to have an opinion of you. And the quicker that we just accept that fact and focus on what we have control over, the easier our life will be. What I have control over is whether I accept myself and act according to who I really am. That's what I have control over. Right? Other people are going to be other people, and they're going to react to that in whatever way they react to it. But my job is to do this and stop worrying about that.
I heard somewhere that people themselves don't, I know it sounds a bit weird, but people themselves actually don't know what they are thinking.
If you're talking about the subconscious, then yes, most of the stuff that we're thinking, we have no conscious awareness of. Absolutely right. That's a statement, not a question. The subconscious exists. Thank you.
I have my own views on it, but I was just wondering, why do you think it is that so many people don't practice self-acceptance?
Because with our entire lives, from the time that we're born to the time that we're we die, we keep being told that we are not enough. How can somebody sell you a expensive car and an expensive watch and designer suits and get you to go into a nightclub and spend money on drinks, right? How can people do those things and get you to buy all this useless shit, right? If you already if you were like, you know what, I'm fine.
It's the ego, isn't it? It feeds on itself.
It's all that, like every page of GQ is literally just your ego, your ego, your ego. The whole thing.
It feeds on itself.
Yeah, and it's perpetual. And the thing is that that's what the indirect methods are telling you. They're telling you that they feed right into the ego, to this idea that if you just plaster over who you are with enough stuff and do all those techniques the right way, you will have complete control over how women react to you. And it's a fucking lie. Some women are going to reject you no matter what you do. It's time to just accept that and just act like who you really are. And the women that think that's amazing, speak to those women. Spend more time with them. The women that go, that's disgusting, go, cool, great, okay. So how about you? That's it.
Well, so what does the A, the blank A mean?
That's an exercise that we don't need to do because I want to move on to another slide. One more, and then I need to, because I've got like 7 slides or something.
Easy thing to do. Just self-accept yourself and not care what the other people think about you.
Can you begin that? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Isn't that easy thing to do? Self-accept yourself and not care about what other people think.
So, is anything that is very beneficial to your life easy? It's not easy. It's much easier to tell you, oh yeah, you know what? Just say these lines and it'll work. I could do that. And some guys get success from that and go, oh, it was the lines. But I'm not gonna tell you that it's easy. People arrive at these things in different ways. So some people, for example, a lot of people who are in comedy, for example, they really have serious psychological issues, and they don't accept themselves, and they had terrible abusive childhoods, but they come on stage, and they are able to say all these things and admit who they are, and they get this feedback and this audience approval, and they deal with things that way. Other people will do meditation. Other people will decide, I'm going to change my life and do this, and I'm going to go to the gym and eat healthy and just improve myself in these areas. And as those things happen, it creates a snowball effect where you go, you know what? Who I really am is pretty fucking awesome. I like who I am. I like who I'm becoming. I like that I'm changing myself in the ways that I want to change myself. And I'm not doing that. I'm not changing myself for other people's approval. I'm not going to the gym so that I can get laid. I'm doing it because I want to be more awesome. And I like where I'm going, and I like myself. So people can do it in lots of different ways. But is it something that happens instantaneously? That you just go, oh, I've decided today that I'm fine. No, it takes time. But some of the things, I'm going to go through some things you can actually do along this process so that you can have some stuff to actually try. I'm not just going to be like, just be awesome. Yes, one more, please, because I have so many slides.
Accepted yourself, and at different times you're in different moods. So does that affect the result if you're like happy or
Of course, I mean, there's no recipe to be really, really happy all the time, and be totally fine all the time, apart from mind-numbing drugs, right? Which are awesome, totally, but it's not a good idea. There's ups and downs of life. Things happen. You feel like, oh, you have moments of where you don't feel like you're enough when something bad happens. That's life. But fundamentally, the question is, are you showing up in most situations with new people pretending to be something that you think they want you to be, or behaving according to what you believe and who you are and what you want? That's what's important. And you have control over that. As long as you're willing to accept what happens, what people's reactions to that will be. And most people are so afraid of one reaction that's negative that they hide all this for their entire lives and present this facade just so they can avoid one situation where someone goes, what are you doing? You're being weird. And I say, you know what? I'm weird. Fucking weird guy.
I'd just like to say you're completely fucking right.